Hello friends and welcome to my hosting workshop. In this video we will look into components that any server consists of, and based on my experience I will tell which of them are the most crucial ones. Okay, so here we have a classical structure of a server. Every server is a hardware, that's the bottom line, and every server has some sort of software, and I will list different components and I will tell a few words about each of them. So the first piece of a software that you interact with is a web server. That can be Apache, which is still the most popular and the oldest web server you can get. Has a lot of modules, can be configured in different ways, and it's okay. Then you have Nginx, which is probably one of the fastest ones, still free and very good one. Has many different options like a proxy, a reverse proxy that works brilliantly fast. Then you have IIS if you are on Windows. That's, I guess, the most popular option on Windows, and it is what it is. And if you want to pay a little bit extra, you can run it. You can have a light speed. There is a free option for the light speed, which is also good. And these four web servers are the most popular and common ones. To be honest, the big difference here probably you will not notice. What you can notice is the features that some of these web servers provide. Especially, I will mark the light speed. Has its own caching mechanism and is very responsive, especially if you go for the enterprise version. Besides that, Apache and Nginx, they both are good and will do the job. Let's move to PHP. So PHP, there are different versions of PHP, and developers say that newer version you get, the faster it will be. But there's this connection between web server and PHP, and these things, they are different. You can run PHP as DSO module for Apache. That's one option. Very common and popular is to run as CGI. That's the C. CGI. Then very popular as well is run PHP as FPM. And if you are on light speed, then you have LSI something. To be very honest, if you are on a not very busy, if your project is not very busy, and you don't get 1,000 customers every minute, then basically it does not very matter. If you can go for FPM, PHP FPM, this way will keep PHP processes running in the memory, and PHP processes will be ready and listening for the connections from the web server. DSO is also very fast, but it requires Apache and is not very flexible when it comes to different options. For example, FPM, you can have it on other hosts, and this way you can offload the job, but that's another story. If you can go for FPM, And then of course we come to a database. Modern websites, they basically use MySQL and or MariaDB, which is a fork of MySQL. Some websites will use PostgreSQL, but if you are up to PostgreSQL, then it's a little bit more complex. For simple projects, usually it's just MySQL. If you compare MySQL and MariaDB, go for MariaDB. MariaDB still has internal cache for queries, and that makes a big difference. Right, and now all this stuff has to run on some sort of hardware. Even though people are using word cloud so much and so often, still under every cloud there is a hardware. For the hardware, the most important part is CPU. Your server can have multiple cores. That's okay. And then each core has some score or some frequency, or you can say it's some benchmark stuff. And that is usually called a single core speed. PHP, when you execute a PHP script, will run on a single core. So this single core speed is more important than number of cores you have. And you can read and you can test and you can get some scores of your CPU. So when you do that, pay attention to single core speed. And what else? Look and also look for megahertz. More is better. Then we come to RAM. Well, we are not playing video games. And when you compare an amount of data that you have when you are playing video games is significantly bigger when it comes to the web server. We don't have so much data going in and out to the memory when you are running a web server. So just decent amount of RAM. Don't stress too much about the speed. But of course, if you can have a DDR5, definitely look for the server with ECC memory. Yeah, ECC will help to correct some errors, some mistakes that every RAM can have. So yeah, right. So ECC is important. Let's go next. The next one is storage. Storage we can divide into 3 categories. That is old spindle disks HDD, solid state disks SSD, and more or less modern is NVMe. Yeah, definitely this one is slow. If your web page is being visited just once a day, you will not notice it, and that's okay. But if you have a web shop and you want to have a decent speed, definitely at least SSD. Does this matter? It's good to have, and it's not bad to have, but you will not notice it so dramatically. Of course, it depends how many customers, how many web pages there are on the server. But these two, yeah, it's there is a difference, definitely. Let's say SSD max speed is 500 megabit or megabytes, and NVMe goes to I don't know, 2,000-3,000. That's 4-6 times faster, but you will not notice it so much. You will notice if you have a very intensive workload on your database, but for the web page, not much. And then we come to the last one, network. The fastest you can get, the better it is. Yes. Let's say anything more than 100 megabit is okay. That's the minimum. Modern servers are usually 1 gigabit, and that's good. It's much more difficult to get anything faster than 1 gigabit. Out of the software, you need to pay attention to the database first. Go for MariaDB. Go for the good configuration. That matters. Out of PHP, FPM is amazing stuff. Webserver, well, they all are good. They all are good, but I can mark Lightspeed, Nginx, Apache, and IIS. Right. Out of the hardware, definitely CPU is a key. Megahertz is what you need, and single core performance is must have. Storage, at least SSD, and network 100 megabit per second. Alright, so these were the most important components of every server. I hope this information will help you to choose your service provider wisely and make your web page run fast. If you have any question, don't hesitate, leave your question below here in comments. I will try to answer them. Visit my webpage hosting.guru and vpbenchmark.io. I'm offering now free demo account on a fast server with a WordPress, completely free for 3 days. Don't hesitate and try it. And see you in the next video. Take care.